Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Lagavulin Jazz Fest 2015. Dustin, this one comes in at 55.4% ABV. This is bottle number 1698 of 3500.
Okay.
And as far as wood type, because Lagavulin always does a nice job of telling us on these facials and Jazz Fest bottles what wood type they used. This is a blend of well-matured Lagavulin from Refill American Oak and Refill European Oak Bodega Casks. So 2015 Jazz, I think this means we've done everyone from 13 up till 21 with this 15. Maybe I missed the 16. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we like to do these Jazz Fest bottles. They're hit and miss, Dustin. Sometimes they're epic, sometimes they're not good.
Have we had a mediocre one? I feel like they've all been like, man, that's disappointing, or ooh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, to the point where I always got the point like if it's not talked about heavily,
Yeah.
it's probably a problem with it.
Well, that mezcal one, it probably falls into depends on what you are looking for in a whiskey.
A lot of times, that's it. I mean, some people like taste spirit, some people like a sherry overcoat, but
Yeah.
we got to this one, not crazy. Some of the good ones are $600-$700, $1,000 to get. This one was about $300, so it's a reasonable price.
Very reasonable in the Lagavulin world, especially when you use the words well-aged. And my favorite word in the Diageo world, bodega. When other distilleries use it, I don't know what it means. I know what it means for Diageo, and it means they used a really good cask one time more than it probably should have been, but it's still pretty good.
All right, Dustin, let's get to it. Always, every time I've got it down to here, every time I've gone to this whiskey, I've been impressed with the nose.
It's like bubble gum and like some kind of like baby back rib, like falling apart meat at the same time.
So savory, yeah. You called it bubblegum sherry, and I just can't get away from that thought process.
Yeah.
Sweet, sugary bubblegum.
Bubblegum sherry, yeah, that is it. Oh, now I'm getting just a hint of that Dimetapp kind of grapey note.
Just the sherry note isn't overpowering. It reminds me of the sherry in the 2015 facial. That's the 24 year that I've always been head over heels for. It's not too much sherry. It's good sherry, good bourbon, good age. I would love to know how old this whiskey is. I would think 16, 18 years old. Is it the youngest that I could?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if whatever that well-matured stuff was like right at 20 or something, just to give it wood smoke with like mint coming off of it.
A little bit of mint now.
Some of that old school epic Lagavulin sherry notes are in here. I'm guessing one of those Bodega Casks was, again, maybe used once or twice too many, but it's giving us those old school notes.
That beautiful tobacco and mint. But
Yeah.
it's very light in this one.
I hadn't pulled the tobacco out yet, but you're right.
And I got the mint first and then the tobacco. Usually it's the other way around.
This is very, very, very on. How do I say this? What's the term to explain like the effervescence of like a mint? Like it's
The
not
vapor?
the vapor. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. I mean, it's all that. It's just very vapory. It's like it's stinging a little bit on the nose, but in a very beautiful way. And so the sweetness, while it's there, is so far and so distant in the nosing profile from the rest of that, which is a very unique experience you don't get very often, and really even Lagavulins.
Yeah, this is a really, really good nose. It's not like, again, it's not a 92, 93 nose, but it's a 90, 91 nose.
It's exceptional and it's unique. Sometimes you say unique and people start going, all right, tell me more about why this is going to be a weird experience for me.
Yeah, it's not weird. It's all Lagavulin. You get that. But again, the bubblegum sherry is a different type of sweetness, and I really, really like it. It's a lighter sweetness, but then the oak notes from what I would have guessed with the bourbon cask maturation puts a nice vanilla in it, and it really goes well with the meaty characteristics of Lagavulin. Yeah, I would say it's almost like, bubblegum covered carnitas. But I don't get any of like the spiciness of like, say, a pork, pepperness.
Yeah.
It's just very clean and devoid of
When I
that.
think of carnitas, I kind of start thinking about spiced and like well-seasoned meat. There's meat here, but I don't know that it's been seasoned at all.
Yeah, when I think of carnitas, I just think of like a very soft meat. And
Okay.
it can be spicy and peppery if that's what you want to add on to it. I'm talking just pulled off the bone right here.
I definitely get like in that bubble gum, pulled off the bone meat. Yeah.
Some of the bone marrow, maybe.
Ooh, yeah, a little bone marrow. It's not bone marrow butter, but I kind of know what you're talking about there. Now, as it kind of opens up in the glass, it is getting a little less effervescence. That's kind of subsided as you'd expect, as that's probably coming heavily from the alcohol. Mm-hmm. And you are starting to get a little meatier. Even the sweetness is very meaty sweetness. Really nice. Yeah, really nice.
As soon as you swallow, that sweetness is just coating the tongue, but then it comes back with some shocking little bitter stings on the side. A little bit of oak spice, Lagavulin meatiness, and the second wave kind of hits your tongue right here. Stinging. Oak. Vanilla. Sweetness from that bubble gum, which is just the overall umbrella experience to this. What are you picking up, bud?
Yeah. Well,
a little bit of mint now here at the end.
Yeah, well, this is... I go to this a lot of times on these really epic Lagavulins, and this, I think, is reaching into those epic Lagavulin notes, is that the drinking experience here is not the sum of the tasting notes. It's not the flavor. And what you said there, I mean, the spice, the mint, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Which is that dense.
What's incredible is up front, it's llovely sweetness. Mm-hmm. That it's not as vanilla-y or as like bourbon cask forward as like a Lagavulin 12. It's instead this very like fruity, oaky, spicy, but yet again, really sweet note in a way that doesn't really make sense because all the tasting notes are more savory, but the experience is very sweet. Then you swallow, and you get this very interesting like transition as the oak intensifies. It starts giving you like really interesting notes. The spices come in, and then you get a second explosive wave of another layer of this peat smoke and just wood. And I mean, it's the experiences. You're feeling the flavors move around your mouth throughout this whole process.
Yeah, this thing is ever
really
changing.
Good.
Even on the nose, it was changing. And I keep going back to the bubblegum sherry note to it. It is just so encompassing in every aspect of this whiskey. Something you mentioned was as soon as you put it on the palate, you got that sweetness. And you're right. The whole rest of the experience is like a typical well-aged bourbon Lagavulin. You know what I mean? You get all those meaty vanilla notes, things of that nature. The smoke, the wood embers, a little bit of that char, that campfire. But it's just in the background, whatever that was that European... Spanish Bodega, European, but yeah, Bodega Casks, whatever that did to it, the sweetness that imparted is so unique. I know, and I've had almost every Lagavulin. I've never had it like this before.
It almost makes me think more of a Fino than of an Oloroso cask.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I think sometimes...
Yeah, I could see that big time.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm kind of getting here. Is I'm not getting Oloroso notes. I'm not getting PX.
It's such unique sherry.
I don't have chocolate notes coming in here. I don't really get dark fruits. No one's mentioned a dark fruit yet. So really, it is kind of reminding more of like a Fino.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I went to instantly in my mind, Lafroy Carch's Fino.
I'm getting a little bit more of like a citrus note here, like a lemon, almost like a lemon drop. It's candied.
See, for me,
that's with water.
For me with water, I'm getting finally that peach note. But it's not grilled peach, it's just a peach.
I was just getting ready to say that then leads to peach.
Oh, forgive me.
Oh, no, you're good. You nailed exactly where I was going. It starts off the citrusy, like lime, with like lemon drop, and then peach.
Yeah, like right when you first inhale it, it's like little sharp, like lemon. No, a little sharp lime. Okay. And then it goes into peach.
It's kind of candied sweet, like a lemon drop, more so than like maybe a lime drop. I don't know. Never had lime drop. Did they make those?
Probably. Yeah. This is such a fun whiskey.
Yeah. All I'm doing is smiling, Mike. That's what this whiskey is. It's just a glass of smiles.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was $300. It wasn't ridiculous. I hadn't heard great things about it, so it wasn't like it was on my radar. I just saw it come up, and I was like, I did a little bit of research. Like, 3,500 bottles. It says well aged. Let's take a chance.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't do any one thing that's just like over the top epic. So maybe that's why it hasn't picked up in like high secondary, which makes sense. And it's not ultra aged, I definitely think. This mostly 16 plus, but I don't know that there's nothing like 25. This has definitely got some younger stuff in the terms of 15 or 15 to 20. It's probably got something closer to side to 15, but just lovely whiskey overall, Mike. Just absolutely all smiles.
You're right. Nothing about it is off-putting, and so many things are really, really good. This is a perfect middle middle of the road, above average Lagavulin, specialty Lagavulin. You know what I mean? All the specialty Lagavulins, Jazz Fest, the facials, all cast strength. So,
Yeah, good.
yeah, they're either usually bangers or misses. And this is definitely not a miss. This is a really good Lagavulin. It's just not on, it's not 93, 94, which gets us to our next question. Where are you at as far as a whiskey score on this one?
Yeah, Mike, I keep trying to talk myself to go down a point, but I've been here and I'm staying here. It's a 91. I just think this does everything really well. I think this is really great whiskey. There's nothing I can bring this score down for. The question is, does it do enough to earn that point beyond a 90? Because it's clearly a 90 in my mind. And I don't think that's kind of that bubblegum sherry thing. Keep bringing me back. And then that whole 3 levels, if not 4 levels in the transitions on the palate and the finish. I think that justifies a 91.
It has something unique. We initially said, yeah, that sweet bubblegum nose, so we got it every time. We got it right from the beginning. That is absolutely unique, and it's absolutely fun. There is nothing off-putting. It's cast-strength whiskey. I agree. The youngest whiskeys are probably no more than 14, 15, 16 years old, which is fine, because that's probably what well-aged means to Lagavulin.
Yeah.
And that's, for peated whiskey, that's pretty well-aged. I remember initially I thought 89. That's ridiculous. This is absolutely a 90. And I keep wanting to do the same thing. I keep thinking, like, okay, taper it down. Why? It is what it is.
I started with, I'm probably going to give this a 90. And then I was like, as soon as I nosed it, I went, this is probably going to be 91.
Yeah, so I'm going to say 90.5, so I'm going to be right there with you. I think it's better than a 90. I don't know if it's quite a 91.
Yeah, 90.5 is probably where, if I were giving half points, that's probably where I'm sitting here, because I'm on the very low end of 91. But I just... That third transition when it really blew up in your mouth on the finish.
Yeah, on the second finish.
That's hard to find on any whiskey. That's where it gave me the 91.
You're right. It's above a 90. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Slightly above, and I didn't think that. I looked it up on Whiskey Base. It was an 89 something. Usually I'm harsher than Whiskey Base is, but not this time.
Well, once you get into the 90s, Whiskey Base starts veering off because there's the one guy who's like, somebody was charging $700 for it. 88. I'm taking off 3 points.
64 or whatever.
They usually ban those people, but they get away with it for like 87. You're like, that seems odd. And you've talked nothing about taste. You just talked about the price.
Yes, we focused on smell, taste, finish.
Yeah.
Value matters. Value matters to the point where we say, look, for $300 this is overpriced. For $200 is a value. For $500, run. But that has nothing to do with the actual whiskey.
What good is your score if you're constantly changing your score to meet the quality of the whiskey?
Do you mean the price of the whiskey? Yeah, price of the whiskey.
Because then you're like, oh, it's an 84, but but it was a $1,000 84. It's a $1,000 84 worth when it's on sale for $300. Where's my calculator?
We're not that smart.
No.
We're just gonna go. We tell you what smell and taste and finish it. We're gonna go. We'll let you figure out what value is to you. All right, Dustin. Good Lagavulin. I was impressed with this one. This is a rare time that I was like, I wasn't expecting to be blown away. Yeah. I was impressed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to chase this for big bucks. I just don't like spending big bucks on secondary bottles.
$300?
$300 for sure. I'd pick it up. But this might be in my mind a $450 bottle.
Yep.
The problem for me is maybe getting close to $5. The problem for me is at that price, I really don't like going secondary. I really want to have trusted sources where I know I'm getting it, and the whole shipping thing. That's to me a $50 stressor. Somebody's going to ship this to me, and I'm hoping it makes it to me in one piece.
Agreed, brother. Agreed. All right, so those are our thoughts on this whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try it, only 3,500 bottles out there, not a lot, but I know people do a lot with samples and things of that nature. Bubblegum sherry note. Dustin coined it initially, so I don't want to steal his tasting note, but that is it for sure. So if you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.